This is Jones. Joe Lossett up a game right now. So you bring him in. We have Lossett on 16 life, spinning a Sensei's Divining Top. He's got Snapcaster Mage in play, but we look at Kevin Jones' side, and there's some pressure. Snapcaster Mage of his own plus Deathrite Shaman. There's a Pithing Needle naming Engineered Explosives as well.
You're probably thinking, how is Joe spinning his top when there's a needle on the battlefield?
That was my first thought.
A needle not quite null rod.
That's great. Normally, the first needles, you always need needle top here. It's interesting to see the board that led to here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd be curious to see the early stages of this game. Though what's happening right now for the Miracles player, having top on the battlefield is a huge advantage in any kind of Blue Mirror and Legacy. And this, on the topic of huge advantages, here's Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Joe Lossett going to go for Jace the Mind Sculptor. Looks like it's going to work here as well. He'll Brainstorm. Has one card in hand, draws up to 4, we'll put 2 back. Some fights earlier here that happened in the game. You see a couple Swords to Plowshares, actually 3 Swords to Plowshares from Joe. That's great in the matchup.
Yeah.
A Moat looks like it was countered as well, or thought seized rather.
And one thing about Grixis Delver is that Kevin is not presenting any kind of threat that can't be hit by Swords to Plowshares. There's no Nimble Mongoose that you'd see in Temur Delver, and he's playing no copies of True Name. Oh, yeah, he has 2 True Nemesis. I apologize. He hasn't presented one yet,
So
though.
Jones is going to Abrupt Decay down the Snapcaster Mage and try to attack Jace for 3. He wants to get that Planeswalker off the board. But Joe looks like he might have a response. You know, and that's one of the strategy for Miracles here, really. It's Delver's a threat light setup at the end of the day, right? 12, 14 creatures. If Joe Lossett can Swords to Plowshares, their first 2 to 3 threats, and then land a Counterbalance, a Jace, something big, then things are going well for Miracles.
Mm-hmm. Funny thing happens with Deathrite Shaman in these Delver decks is historically against Miracles, you wanted to only commit 1 threat in case you get Terminist. Deathrite Shaman is so mopey on its own that you basically always want a second creature alongside it, which does open you up to Terminus a little bit.
So some sequencing from Joe. After the attack, Joe goes ahead and spins top. Doesn't see what he likes, cracks a fetch land, spins top again, finds Terminus, and he's going to try to Miracle it into play. Miracle, yes. Pays the blue, yes. Is it going to work? Will Kevin lose his creatures? We'll see. Here's Brainstorm.
Okay, this is a big brainstorm here. A few things he can find. Looks like Joe is tapped out, so a Daze would do it.
1, 2, and 3. But Kevin does not find the counter spell, so he's going to lose his board. And more importantly, Joe's going to keep the Jace.
Yes. And
that's so bad for the Delver player.
Very few cards in Magic that just crush blue mirrors like Jace the Mind Sculptor does.
So Terminus resolves. Kevin's creature sent to the bottom of his deck. No damage. Jace stays. Kevin gets a chance to reload here, though. Joe is tapped down, and Kevin has a copy of True Name Nemesis in hand. That's another one of those cards that Miracles can really struggle to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like Kevin's going to go for it. Cracks a fetch land.
Yeah, that puts a lot of pressure on Joe to find another copy of Terminus.
Well, yeah, if you want to get rid of Jace, right, Joe could draw a card, Brainstorm with the Jace, and just not find an answer to True Name. Mm-hmm. That is not unreasonable.
And with that Pithing Needle on Engineered Explosives, Joe loses that out to True Name Nemesis. So he's drawing pretty slim here.
Yeah, he has 2 copies of Moat in the sideboard, but one of them's already in the graveyard. Mm-hmm. If he can stick the other one, you know, Moat plus Jace is getting very close to a lock in this matchup.
Yes, then Kevin is pretty much just drawing to Delver.
Well, he plays Deathrite Shaman also and passes. Joe will draw. It's going to be the Sensei's Divining Top he put there. Top and Brainstorm in hand. He's got to decide how does he want to sequence. He'll start with Brainstorm. Finds Vendilion Click.
Best case scenario for Joe is if he's able to make a Terminus happen this turn, but he doesn't want to use the Jace to Brainstorm to try to find that, because if the Jace is vulnerable to True Name Nemesis, he would rather just be able to use the +2 on this turn.
Yeah, because Deathrite Shaman, it can make Joe lose 2 life, but it doesn't deal 2 damage. So if Jace goes up to 5, Kevin is unlikely to be able to kill it this turn. Mm-hmm. And that's what Joe's going to do. He pluses targeting himself, puts his top card to the bottom, I like this a lot.
Yeah,
This
it's a
is
cool
smart.
combination with Brainstorm. Gets to put a card on top and then scry it to the bottom.
Yeah, Sensei's Divining Top's the play, and then he passes. So he's going to get to look what he put back 2 cards there. So he only really knows the top card of his deck right now. Top will let him look at 2 more. He'll get another draw next turn. That's 3. Jace will take him 2 more deeper. So he has 5 looks at an answer to True Name Nemesis. And you see there, on during draw step, Joe went for a Vendilion Click. Kevin drew Counterspell, countered it outright.
I enjoy seeing a counterspell be cast. You don't see that one too much anymore.
A swing puts the Mind Sculptor down to 1 loyalty, and Kevin will play the last card in his hand. It's a copy of Delver of Secrets. If Joe can find Terminus here, it's probably lights out. Sensei's Divining Top spins it. No Terminus just yet. He will draw a card, however.
I do like Kevin committing the Delver, though, because he's already in such a bad spot if Joe does produce a Terminus that you may as well go all in.
There was a Swords to Plowshares. He drew Jace will Brainstorm, finds Spell Snare, Top. Nothing great yet.
Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate for Joe that he doesn't have a shuffle effect. So the Brainstorm is really not, it's only one more look.
There's drawing a card. Casts Brainstorm. Looks like he went 1 deeper that turn, and it may have found a fetch land for him. That's great.
Yes.
He'll spin top again before he plays it to look 1 deeper. It's another fetch land. Nope, no Terminus yet. So see him, he's just, on the probabilities, he's just nibbling at all the edges on finding Terminus. So now he'll use the Scalding Tarn. That's going to reshuffle his deck. He'll get to look at 3 more. But once he's done looking at these 3, his last card, Swords to Plowshares, then we're done, right? There's no more looks. That's the last of the cards.
Well, we'll find out what he sees. Perhaps he could produce
Something
more.
white. Is it Terminus? We'll look. Or Moat, perhaps. That would be great, too.
Looks like Entreat the Angels.
So there's a new plan here now, right? Joe could...
Kill Kevin because he's at 8?
Yeah. Yeah, he could just take the damage and say, you got it. Oh, by the way, on your end step, make 2 angels. Swing.
So there's 1 or 2 spots where Joe wants to miracle this Entreat. He either wants to do it before Kevin draws his card, just on Kevin's upkeep so that he can't counter it, or try to trap this Delver in combat with an angel.
So Joe passes. We go to Kevin Jones. Does his card revealed to the Delver?
And I do like Joe letting this trigger happen, because if Kevin finds an instant or sorcery, he's certainly going to reveal it.
Yeah. Drew a Polluted Delta. Now, the thing we should watch about Joe's timing is whether or not there's a creature in the graveyard. Can Kevin go to 10 if the situation calls for it? And he's going to swing, and here's Joe with an Entreat for 2, gets 2 angels. Kevin's card's a Polluted Delta. That's not going to help. The pair of 4/4s will be made by Lossett. They're going to block the Delver. Jace does go down to the True Name Nemesis, but Kevin is at 8. And unless there's a creature in the graveyard, these 4/4s are lethal.
It's either dead next turn or a 2-turn clock, and Joe's still comfortably at 14.
So a draw from Lossett. Looks at the board. Yeah, Kevin, you're at 8. Is this lethal? Swings it. It looks like there is a creature. Yeah, there was the Delver of Secrets that Joe blocked, and Joe's Vendilion Click. So Kevin goes up to 10, takes 8, goes down to 2. He's bought himself another turn, but Lossett is still at 14. He plays a Divining Top, spins it.
And Kevin's deck really doesn't have swinging effects. Destroying 2 angel tokens is just not something that his deck does.
And he's got 1 more draw to do something. Does he find it? He does not. There's the hand. Joe Lossett will win the match. He will improve to 2-1, where he ends the group. You know, a rare round 1 loss for Joe Lossett here in Legacy. But you knew he wasn't going to stay down very long. Wins out for the group.
Yep, 2-1 start. That's solid. If someone offered you that at the beginning of the day, you'd probably take it.